my Mazda tools. Oh, are you done? Did you swap it over already? Holy. Right, so what we're looking at here and discussing is a number of things that all kind of bundle in together with one core vehicle with a problem here. This is a Jeep Grand Cherokee WK2 with the 3.6 petrol engine in it, and we're chasing some oil pressure problems. We're a long way into the diagnostic journey when we started filming this, but we've basically got to the point where we've worked out that this motor is badly sludged up, as you can see from the footage here. This is a result of skipping or not sticking to a good regular service interval. Look, there's a lot of differing opinions online about what's good and what's not for these. We start at anywhere from changing oil every 5,000 kilometers up to 10,000. Don't go more than 10. We're generally advising people around the 7,500. This is what happens when you leave it too long. So what ended up happening with this vehicle, which we have seen on a few, is you end up with this fault code, P06DA. Which is a bit generic. It doesn't tell you where to start looking, so you've got to do some diagnostic work. It will either be this bad boy, which is your oil pressure switch on the back of the oil cooler, which sits in the valley, or it'll be this one, which is the solenoid on the dual stage oil pump. Now, unfortunately for owners and technicians alike, this is run off the timing chains. So we've started with this. We did an oil cooler as well because this was actually leaking externally, but that's a different issue. We then removed the sump from this and found the sump full of that built up sludge, so we cleaned that as best we could. A new fresh batch of oil, resealed it and took it home for the night. Unfortunately, it threw the code again. We do still have oil pressure, so we're not losing oil pressure when it throws this code. So either the sludge is intermittently blocking up in that oil pump, which I don't think is what's happening. I'd say that dual stage solenoid is what's failing. So next steps here, timing case has to come off, sump back off, timing chains off, replace that pump, clean this up as best we can, put it back together. It's expensive. So the moral of the story is don't skip your services. You spend $400 or $500 on an oil change every 6 months, and you don't have to be here spending thousands chasing an oil pressure problem. Timing chains on the 3.6. This is caused by putting off oil changes, not getting enough oil and filter changes or frequent enough. So we've had to do the oil pump, which is that thing down the bottom with the 2 blue wires. This is the aftermath of the old timing chain kit. You can see caked up in carbon here. This is the oil pump. It's the solenoid that is in question. That's the outside of the solenoid and the oil pump. So imagine what the inside of that looks like. So now that it's at this stage, obviously we'll fix all of this. The recommendation here is going to be an oil and filter change probably every 2,000 kilometers for the next 15,000 Ks. It'll slowly over time fix itself. Don't put flushes in a car that's already got to this stage. All you do is take all this carbon straight to the bottom. You take all the carbon off the piston rings, blocks up your oil pickup, you lose oil pressure again. Or worse, you end up with a really smoky vehicle because you've taken all the carbon off the rings and the rings are no longer completely sealing on the oil ring. That's a different video, but don't use oil flushes as a cure. It's a prevention. Once you're at this stage, an oil flush will not save you. This is my pie. So this is the engine oil that we've pulled out of this Jeep that's getting the timing chains with the questionable service history. To try and save the whole situation, we did a drain of the sump, removed the lower sump, cleaned out as much as we could, and then put fresh oil in it. So this is the fresh oil that has probably only done 10 kilometers. We took the car home and back to work, and that's out of a petrol V6, and it's looking more like it came out of a diesel. So yeah, that's not good. You want a bit of tippy tip. Well, it's not atrocious that way. It's not too bad. I reckon it'll come. I reckon we could save this engine if you do 3 or 4 oil changes in very low kilometers. I'm gonna eat my pie. Holy.